Boy, I look really far away. Here, hang on, hang on. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome. Let's see if I can change this. I broke my chair. I broke my other chair from leaning back in it all the time. I had this new one in it. It doesn't have a back into it. So maybe you can see more of what's over my shoulder. Anyway, sorry I ain't been around. I have been, been working. And this week was finally the first time I ever had any spending money of my own, And, but anyways, hi, you guys. If you ain't been around in a while, if you're brand new, welcome. I hope you enjoy this idea of learning something new. Probably like one of the biggest secrets ever kept away from man, the truth, And did you know that you had a treasure trove of it inside of you? Did you know? Here, let me move this so I don't turn it on. I do that. I'm so animated. I'm always moving my hands and shit like that. If I'm holding on to something, I'm doing good. But what I thought I'd talk about today, I want to talk about silver, that 30 pieces of silver. What's the big hoopla about silver in the Bible? And there's only a few places where 30 pieces of silver have come in. And generally what that is talking about is it's a moon. It's a moon symbol, basically. And we've talked about it, like through the Islamic faith, that they go from they take a whole month off from new moon to new moon, which is like a little sliver, a quarter. This is the new moon to nothing, But it's just it's the whole swath of the month of and it's basically. In meditation, it's the middle form. It's what comes from the north, because the moon is representative of our emotions. That comes from the north. It's all right. It's just one of those things. One of the laws, and that's what's important for us to go into meditation, because this is where we get our betrayal from. Because we get this. This desire to take or to, generally we have to trick someone, and this is an inheritance of a kingdom, of your inheritance. But the way it works out, let's put what people think about the Bible, what outside world thinks about the Bible. It's control over you, the individual, that this book is talking about. And you can give yourself up to this outside world. You then there's two of you, plus you trap your messenger, so that makes three of you in one. Okay, that's probably where we get our three soldiers that are in the field, and they get captured or get, they're trying to be taken advantage of by the devil. Because in this story here, I'm going to read about Zechariah. There is supposedly, because the scripts overlap, and I'm understanding what overlapping means in the YouTube means, is when someone steals your idea and your things and goes and does their own thing. And they say because there's just so much going on in this world of the YouTube that there's going to be overlapping, And what I look at is I see that as symbolically as, getting fucked by somebody, Oh, it's just a little overlapping. But you can take this information and run with it. I don't care what you do. Just don't make money off of it, or something terrible will happen to you, it might just be safe for you. That's it's the only thing that's different from people. If you were going to learn all this information, it's for people that really love God and want to serve this thing and wish to understand and go a little further with their lives and with the world. There's a certain amount of not caring. If you don't want to care, there's this choice that you get. But if you knew you had a choice, which one would you go for? So these stories that I'm reading about with Zechariah and the prophecies and stuff like that, you'll see that the reason why they're calling it a prophecy, because they're in the same book, is that they're the same stories. They're doing the same thing. They're just, you know how I say, I keep saying the stories that this reminds me of this and this reminds me of that story, because they are the same story. No, because they're telling the same information is inside of them, of this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The number system is inside them. That's how you can further understand that Bible and what it's saying and what part of you it's talking about. And so what we're saying here is this is the number 3. So number 3 means that they're all together. That's divine intervention. 1 is the maker. 2 is his creation, and his creation is duality. That's me and my maker. Me and my messenger whenever I go under. So all 3 of us together are 3 of us. So this is what this whole idea about the 3 and 30 pieces of silver. If you want me, give me 30 pieces of silver. Alright, so this is what it takes to obtain that connection with God. We talk about that as if you can understand this, if you can see this with your eyes, if you can hear this with your ears, and understand it with your heart. That's connecting 3 up, and something really cool happens to you. And I think that's regardless of whether or not you can make it all the way up those chakra systems yet. It's like, I'm coming, you're finding out. And it's like with a lot of these things, they come in 3s, like I went up there one time and I got a sack of gold, found out where the money was, went up there again and I got a goose that lays a golden egg, and then after that I got a harp. My goodness, so it's like, this is where these riches are. This is where they're stored, and those are really talking about phases of you that you become in charge of. You become in charge of you, all right? There's the king that's outside, or you become, your own boss, and God becomes that guy, not a king. Whenever he gives you've given yourself, when you've thrown your silver out into the street, you've given yourself up to the majesty, you're giving it up to the king and stuff like that. That's the outside world. That's not who this guy is. God wants to come in and claim your space. This is mine. Poof, put a flag in the left side of your brain and say, that's mine now, motherfucker, And then everybody's okay, all right, and they all haul ass. That usually comes around number 9, because number 9 is what's the state of your consciousness. Are you a half-brained, low-conscious motherfucker? Or are you a higher brained or full brain, working with loving the Lord with all of your heart and all of your mind? Are you one of those guys? Those high-minded individuals, who have the right mind, to give their left mind a good swat in the butt, But basically, it's not that kind of a beating. You have to love this neighbor. All right. Again, that's this is just a wonderful little story that I'm going to tell you, but it's all about 30 pieces of silver, and we know that silver is that flux stage between us and the new you and me. We have to go through this change, and that's that emotional thing that comes from the north that has to do with the moon, the silver. And throwing that silver, that's the whole month of October, and that used to be a stork or flying something, because you're on your way to be put on the cross to die. You're being tricked in that point of the thing, and part of the story is how that is working. Okay, it's a point in the story. It's a point inside of you. It's a way of of telling you of the movement of a energy that comes about whenever you seek this way. And it's just so wonderful. So that a lot about the Old Testament is talking to these Jewish people who just not connected. They're wandering around and in the deserts for 40 days and 40 nights, or 40 years. My freaking God, they only had to go like so far. But that's showing them that they're locked down to a certain group. Their hardened hearts means that they really haven't gone anywhere. But there are these prophets. These prophets, like this guy here, is getting spoken to God, and I think it's the last. You won't hear any more of him. But that's what's really cool about this story is that in this, it's someone's talking to you. They're going to be talking to you. And if you can change your mind over to this idea that this thing is talking to you, you are Zechariah. All right? But before we do this, let's read right off the bat here. It says 30 pieces of silver. In the Hebrew culture, 30 pieces of silver was not that much money. In fact, it was the exact price paid to the master of a slave and when and if his slave was gored by an ox. Isn't that funny? This is what happens. Remember, when there's just two of you in this position, you go, the master is like me right now, but my slave is the one that I send to do my work for me, my servant. Exodus, this is Exodus, and it's the 21st chapter, which is 3, about connecting, and it's about the 32nd verse, so that's 5. So we've got 5, which is the skin, and 3, so it's about joining together. So whenever you get gored by an ox, you get paid, the master gets paid 30 pieces of silver. All right, that should help you right there. That's just understand that it's really hard to get some ox to gore your guy, but that's what you want to do. You want to get gored, man. All right, so there's only a couple of places in here. This is Zechariah. I wrote in here, is it a prophecy that's fulfilled, or it's the same story? All right, because let's read along and see if we find this on our own. 1. Open thy doors, O Lebanon, that the fire may devour thy cedars. 2. Howl, fir tree, the cedar is fallen, because the mighty are spoiled. Howl, O ye oaks of Bashan, for the forest of the vintage is come down. 3. There is a voice of the howling of the shepherds, for their glory is spoiled, a voice of the roaring of young lions, for their pride of Jordan is spoiled. All right, we're going to stop right there. That's 1, 2, 3. What you're getting here is, list up. I want you to open up. I want you to let these things be burned down. I want the change. I want you to let me come in, do my magic with you. That's what he's talking about. That Bashan is the homestead. You're talking about you. Brethren, that's you. Kinship, kinsmen, all these things are all about you. Okay? Nothing else. No one else. Nothing outside of you. Howling shepherds. We're always going to be wanting. We're going to be hungry. This is a direction of not doing this. All right, you're going to start understanding what this is about. This is going the wrong way on this two-way street. All right, because and that's going to make it very. It's just so beautiful. Let me not mess it up. All right, 4, which is the world's, or 4. Thus saith the Lord, feed the flock of the slaughter. 5. Whose possessors slay them and hold themselves not guilty. And they that sell them say, blessed be the Lord. For I am rich, and their own shepherds pity them not. They've given themselves over to this other place for slaughter. They've given us out, and they don't have a damn. They don't care a damn about you whatsoever, or take responsibility and kill you. Ouch. not right. All right? It's because this is when you're rich, you say, you fools, you say, for I am rich, and the shepherds pity me not. That means you're rich, you don't care to go up here. I've often said that, this shit don't, it doesn't happen to those people that are rich. They just don't care. They don't want to give enough, Number 6. For I will no more pity the inhabitants of the land, saith the Lord. But lo, I will deliver the men every one into his neighbor's hand, and into the hand of his king, and they shall, and they shall smite the land, and out of their hand I will not deliver them. This is 6. This is the top of the ladder. This is the smiting of the land. It says you're going to get up there and you're going to smite the land, and I will not deliver you. It means it's not going to work. It's not going to happen. All right? That's what he says. I'm going to deliver you into your neighbor's hands and to your neighbor's king. All right? And this is what they were said. This here says, these are the guys that will kill you. They said they they will slay them and hold themselves not guilty. Well, anyways, you're still the sheep being slaughtered. All right. Here's number 7. Number 7 is usually, bang, something great. And I will feed the flock of slaughter, even you, O poor of the flock. And I took unto me 2 slaves, the one I call Beauty, and the other I call Bands, and I fed the flock. 7. The shepherds also I cut off in 1 month. 3 shepherds also I cut off in 1 month. And my soul loathed them, and their soul also abhorred me. 9. Then said I will not feed you. That dieth, let it die. And that is to be cut off, let it be cut off. And let the rest eat every one in the flesh of another. Let me read that one again. And let the rest eat every one the flesh of another. Whoa! 9. 9 was interesting. 9 finishes all this off. He is cut off. I'm not going to help him. He's going to break the stick here in a minute. All right. So number 9 is that that dieth and that wants to be cut off. Yeah, to be cut off. Dying in this situation is always losing this connection with the Lord, for whatever that reason is. And I'm not sure what this guy's leaving him for, But he has people that he's, in his book, he is accounted for, which is the body. And he says, hey, this is what the Lord's cut us off. All right? So these are the 3 shepherds that are being cut down at one time because they came in all 3 together, but only 2 are going out. All right? Oh, I don't want to ruin it. Number 10. 10 means number 1, so it's the beginning of another part of the story. 1. And I took my staff, even Beauty, and cut us under, that it might break my covenant with which I had with my people. All right, so he, the shepherd of his master, and God that he separated from, they're no longer going to be getting what they were asking for from him. They're it's kind of in a sense that, now you got to pay me something. But watch how this works. This is number 2. It's representing, it used to be God and his it is 1, 2 is the duality of the person, his making. All right. and it says, so it was broken that day, and so the poor of the flock that waited upon me, knew that it was the word of the Lord. So now it's him and his flock, which is this other person or whatever, the real side of him. That's the two. It's just gone back to two. It's just two. And I said unto them, if ye think good, give me my price, and if not, forbear. So they weighed for my price 30 pieces of silver, and cast them to the potter in the house of the Lord. They took what was gold of his and what was beautiful, and they tossed it. They taught the silver and sent it to the potter, to the potter in the house of the Lord. That is number 3. So this is where they're giving it up. This is where that part is being given up, and this is the same kind of thing that happens later on. I'm going to show you later. They've taken that 30 pieces of silver and thrown it into the potter's house of the Lord. Number 13. And the Lord said unto me, cast it unto the potter, a goodly price that I was prized at from them. And I took the 30 pieces of silver and cast them to the potter in the house of the Lord. That was number 4. All right. 5, 14 now is number 5. Then I cut us under mine other staff, even bands, that I might break the brotherhood between Judah and Israel. Judah is the physical side. Israel is the mental side. The spiritual side, of course. And thus, this staff that they may break is the Kundalini, the path to go up that place. That's number 6. And the Lord saith unto me, take unto ye yet the instruments of a foolish shepherd, because he's taking the other route. For lo, I will raise up a shepherd in the land, which shall not visit those that be cut off, neither shall seek the young for one, nor heal that is broken, nor feed that standeth still. But he shall eat the flesh of fat, and tear their claws in pieces. This is number 7. They used to go to this well for meat, and now they're going this place for fat. So you understand if you can remember that they used to go to this place, and it will be a place of meat. I know that, meat meeting him, but meat is a food source. Almost it's fish food. Fish food is a type of meat. The truth. So you're going to be missing all that. All right, and you're going to get fat instead of this. All right, you're going to get fat, and you're going to tear your claws in pieces. That's number 16, which is number 7. All right, 8. Let's see, 17. Woe to the idle shepherd that leaveth the flock. The sword shall be upon his arm, and upon his right eye. His arm shall be clean dried up, and his right eye shall be utterly darkened. Some mean ass shit. Alright, well that's the end. I wanted to go all the way through. That's only 17 of those. Alright? They believe that they're being punished because they killed Christ. But this is the idea. When you kill the Christ and you kill the child and you've given your baby up to, to whoever, whatever, to this demon, to the right side. You've been tricked into it. You've given it to this monster yourself, you baby eating people, The three shepherds, I want you to understand that was pretty cool. Now with Judas, there's a whole kind of story, because what they're trying to do is they're giving up Christ. They're going, this one here, if you don't betray Christ, this is the only difference between those two guys, because they were saying this doesn't have anything to do with bringing Jesus into the scene, because Jesus lifts this business, all right? They aren't doing the way. Jesus comes and teaches them ways. He says, listen, you dumbasses, you're not supposed to rent your clothes, man. You're supposed to go from your heart, not your clothing, guys. It's your heart that you're supposed to go in and see, But anyways, Judas bargains with the top Israel boss about betraying the Lord Jesus Christ, and he asks, "What are you willing to give me to deliver him over to you?" And they counted out for Judas 30 pieces of silver, and this is what they considered to be the cost for a slave. It's not saying, Jesus being killed at this time. They're just staying unique with the story, because that's how much a slave is worth. If you're going to kill him, if you're going to gore the motherfucker, the master's going to get 30 pieces of silver. This is all the way into the New Testament now. Later, Judas, they say, is over. Oh, let's see, what was that? You're going to deliver him. He counted out 30 pieces of silver. This is Matthew chapter 26, verses 16. All right? 15. 15 is a 6. 26 is an 8. So this is at the end of something. So this is at the end of something, which is 20. That's what that means. 15, 6. This is Judas is receiving something on the 6th, on the 6th level, all right? And what happens, what does he do then? He goes, he's feeling really guilty about all of this. Remember, you have to come being sick, something has to be wrong, you're upset. For betraying Jesus and fulfilling the prophecy of Zechariah, I still put a big question mark on that. He threw the 30 pieces of silver into the temple, and the Jewish leaders used the 30 pieces of silver to buy a field from a potter, which Judas winds up hanging himself in. All right, so back it up here. He threw the 30 silver coins into the temple. This is Matthew 27, verses 3 through 5. So you're looking at, 3, 4, 5. You're looking at the works 7, 8, 9. 7, 8, 9. We got 9. We're almost at the finish. So this is at the end of this all. He's threw these things into the temple, and then he goes and hangs himself. All right. So he's given it. Hanging yourself is taking, cutting off what's above from what's below. That's meditation term. So before we go any further on that, there's just Judas is not a bad guy. Judas is a part of you. He's your best friend, and it's the only person that you can trust to do this job. And there's no one outside that's going to deliver you to God. There's no one out there like a Judas. No one's going to betray you and stuff like that, but it's what you do to yourself. And you have to find that guy in there that can do it. And that's what it means. Judas is not a bad guy. They portray him as being a bad guy. This outside world is meant to destroy your total sense of what you can think about as being invisible and could be you and is you. But by focusing on things that are outside, distracts you from the truth. So what you got to understand is that person inside of you that you dip the sop to, and you take the bread and you dip it into this and you give it to your best friend. This is who's going to betray me. And of course, when he does that, the other apostles around there, what is he doing? What? He says, go and do it now. Go do what you got to do now. And all the other apostles are sitting around, where's Judas going? And Jesus just told them. They just asked, who's going to betray you? The guy that I dip my sop to is the one that's going to do it. It's like now, these motherfuckers, these people caring about Jesus and stuff like that. Where the fuck are they? You know? Were they there when he raised up? No, no. Only one woman was there. You know, but you have to understand that. These people, you know, they weren't real to begin with, but in the first, and then if you did, they're just nuts, you know, they're representing the skin, the brethren, that's why they sleep under the tree instead of staying up, standing watch, you know, it's the skin is, you know, this and that, but the spirit is such and such, you know, listen, 30 pieces of silver, you have to go through all the works to get to this place, there's no, you know, like 30 pieces of silver is worth it, you know. So it runs through one thing after another, and prophecies, you know, and this and that. No, it's the same story, you know. Except that one was giving up, because the story was all going downhill. This was going downhill. This one here of Jesus' story is going uphill. Because that's the way it works. The one whenever Jacob, you know, steals his brother's inheritance is an up story, right? That's an up story. But all through these things, they're coming down and up, down and up. This is the way it is. That's the idea of the balance, because this is our psyche. We're always changing. We always are trying to find even. And the word even, you know, for you guys, look around 6 and 7. It's always a little even somewhere around there. I am not going to feed you. And you see his hand's going to be dried up and cut off, you know, and his right eye is going to be, you know, darkened. It's just awful. You know, we always knew that the left eye is devil. You know, you always know that. Left hand, that's why you don't let the right hand know what, don't let the left hand know what the right hand's doing, you know. And so, you know, anyways, these are just wonderful things. I know it's long, but this is a good lesson. This is a real good lesson. And delivering you into, I will deliver you into the hands of your neighbors and to your neighbor's king. Just as that. Just like that. Take back possession of yourself. You tell that king you got other things to do. Far better things to do. And you reconnect with yourself. It's just that easy. Alright? I want you to get to learn how to read that Bible and understand it. All kinds of wonderful and beautiful things start coming to you. Honest to God. Honest to God. Alright, I love y'all. I really do. And I do care about you. You know, I think I heard myself say, oh, I'm not here for your comfort. You know, tough shit, you know. It happens whether I want to or not. You know, I try to be mean. And it don't work all the time. Down here a long time ago, when I first started coming down, I wanted to become an artist. It's like over 30 years ago. They have these strict rules. You can't do this, you can't do that. You have to ask permission to do anything. Change the color, up and plant a tree, or pull a tree down, or whatever, you know? Strict. Well, I was learning how to paint, and I learned how to paint by cars. I started painting cars and making old, shitty, stupid old cars. I painted for like $60, you know, and turned the town into this funny little, you know, kind of little funny little town. And I didn't have to ask permission for shit, you know. And they always got to, you know, no one even got mad. But it was me like going, you know, fuck you, you know. But then it wound up, you know, because I became this public artist, you know, that the streets are my gallery, and they have been for over 30 years. And what I had planned to be mean, you know, turned out to be a blessing and a beautiful thing, you know, and it taught me how to paint and everything. It's just a beautiful thing. But people would be sitting on their porches, and then my little car would come riding by them, and I have painted more than 300-400 cars in all this time. And there's still about a dozen of them still running around, you know. Anyways, I was just saying that I'm trying to be mean, you know, but I can't. Just, you know, it's just something that happens. But I do love y'all. right? Anybody who wants to listen to me, you know. Peace. I love you.